Nice. So tell me your name, your age, where you were born, and what brought you to this moment right now.
My name's Ariana. I'm 20. I was born here in Marietta. My parents have been pastors my whole life, always been a pastor's kid ever since I can remember. We moved to Colorado due to my dad's job in the middle of 4th grade. I had a great childhood, 3 siblings. You know, always everything was a good big deal. Christmas, Thanksgiving, family oriented, always going to church every single week that I could remember, never missed church ever. You know, good morals, good values, just really built upon God and the Word. And then moved back to California going into sophomore year. You know, that's when we first came to the Way. And I remember, I specifically vividly remember the first time going to a service and hearing pastor preach. And even though I've been to churches my whole life and being behind the doors and, you know, behind the scenes and seeing how church is, I just remember being so impacted by how pastor spoke. And that's the first thing that caught my attention was, wow, like his zeal, his passion, his fire. I never been to a church where it felt alive. And that's something that really caught my attention. And I remember my dad, he got a job offer to be the main pastor, senior pastor at a church a little further away from here. And I just remember saying, Dad, like, this is where we need to be. We need to be at the Way. And it just felt alive. It felt like home and felt like family. And so we ended up staying here. My dad was the youth pastor. We were staying here. It was fine. Everything was good. Loved life. Loved SoCal. And then going into junior year, that's when life hit, as we say. You know, there's always struggles. And my mom just really went through a hard season. Without getting into too much detail, but she just wasn't in her right mind. I just remember everything I knew about her, everything I remembered about her, it wasn't the same. Her mind was totally gone. In her mind, everyone was out to get her. She stopped going to church. She would hide herself in her room all day and all night, building forts, hiding in forts, just thinking everyone was after her. She would sneak away at night, and I just remember there's a good part of my life during that time where I don't even remember talking to my mom, seeing my mom. She was just totally absent and not there. And we ended up having to tell her that, like, how she was living and what she was doing. It just got so intense, and it wasn't right that we asked her, you know, to get counseling and to, you know, start going to church with us, and she was unwilling to, so she left our family. And so that was a really hard time for my siblings and for my dad and for me, but, you know, we were pushing through it, getting stronger together, and, you know, me and my dad became super close. We were like best friends, and, you know, it sucks, but what can you do? Keep pushing and moving forward. And then I remember one time I was with a friend up in Northern California, and I got a Snapchat from my mom, and she sent me a picture of a baby, a newborn, and she just said, "Here's your new brother." And I was just like, what? None of us knew that she was even pregnant. No one knew anything. We knew it wasn't my dad's. And so that was kind of when he started, you know, not really believing in what we believed my whole life, and kind of not really being there as a father anymore, and kind of living his life. He would tell me, like, I don't want to be a dad. I don't deserve to have to watch you guys full time anymore. Like, I deserve to have my life like she's having her life. And so I remember just being left like, okay, no mom in my life, no dad in my life. You know, they're kind of doing their own things right now. And I remember, you know, I worked a froyo job. That was my minimum wage job. And that's kind of what I could do to support my family, buy them food, drive them where they need to go to school, stuff like that. And no one's aware at all in my life and my family that any of this is happening. Everything seems fine to, you know, the rest of my family, and this has been going on for a while. And I remember just me personally sitting on my floor in my room and just looking at myself in the mirror, and I just said, okay, Ariana, you have 2 options right now, and you need to make a choice. You can either, you know, not having to fight through it and just kind of go with what your parents are doing, and, you know, just kind of live off of your feelings and live on what's right. You know, I was mad. I felt like so angry that all this was happening. I didn't understand it. I didn't want to go to church. It wasn't, or you can choose to, you know, stay in church and to stand up and to fight and to be that example for your siblings and for your family, and to not let it affect your personal relationship with God. And so I prayed and I was crying, I was bawling, and I just chose, okay, I'm gonna do this for not even just for me, but for my family. And so I decided to not give into all the life and all the other options and all the other choices and give into my feelings and my emotions, but to really stand firm on God, because I knew growing up, like, hearing, okay, this is the one thing that will be stable and constant in your life. And so I chose, even though I didn't see it, even though I didn't feel it, I chose to keep going to church, to keep doing what I'm doing, and believing someday, somehow, that everything will work out. And I remember finally I opened up to someone here at the church about what was going on, and they just encouraged me, you should tell Pastor Matt and Abby. So I met up with Pastor Abby and told her everything, and I remember that night she was like, we're gonna go get you groceries, because still, mind you, I'm trying to support my family off of, I quit my job actually at that time because they wouldn't let me get Sundays off, and so I knew I needed to make it a priority to be at Sundays. Froyo's not worth not going to church, so I quit my job, but I'm the only support that I had for my family. So I was barely even having, I remember so sad, my little brother was crying just to me, saying he's so hungry, and I was just like, had no money to give to support my family. And just him, like, just knowing going into Christmas and the holidays, and they don't have anyone to be there for them, and how I was raised with Jesus and all of our morals of just like such a family loving time. Like, they don't have that. They don't have a mom, they don't have a dad. I don't have money to give to them and to support them and to be there for them. And I was trying, but I remember meeting with Pastor Abby that night, and right then she was like, okay, we're gonna go to the store, we're gonna take you, we're gonna give you all the food you can imagine. So we went to Winco, they loaded up 2 huge carts of food, and she's like, I'm gonna make sure you guys have the best Christmas ever, and that we're gonna be there for you. And I just remember feeling so, this is family, this is what it's about. Like, I was able to lean on them. You know, things panned out, and my siblings went to go, my dad had to move, and so they went to move with him, and so I'm living alone. And so just all of a sudden this opportunity came up to go to this really big church in the East Coast called Elevation Church. So I applied, thousands of people apply, only 30 people get accepted. I was one of those people that ended up getting accepted. This 19-year-old girl who was a pastor's kid, that was about it. Like, I didn't have any experience, but somehow got accepted, went to Elevation, was working there, interning there for a while. They offered me a job to stay longer, but I knew in my heart that I was called to the way, and Elevation's great, but I just knew what was at the way is so special, and I knew this was family and this was home. I just knew, like, Pastor's heart and his messages and what we stand for at the church and what we believe for, it just was home to me, and I knew how much I needed to be back. So I declined, I came back, and I get offered a job here at the Way. I slowly started seeing my purpose being walked in, and really seeing what I was meant to do, and really seeing God start to move and work in my family slowly but surely, and things starting to get better. And just this church has so blessed me, just being here with the family and the friends. And now that I get to work here, I get to see and hear all of the other stories of all the other people that are here in this church that are being touched and that are being changed, and the fact that I get to be a part of a team and be a part of those people's lives, and them knowing that I'm there for them and being that to someone else when I needed that, is what I so love about my life and what I get to do here at the Way.